Welcome everyone to another episode of As Told by Nomads, and today's guest is Isabelle Peyrichoux. Isabelle is a career reinvention coach. She has helped thousands of people leave jobs that they hated to find their dream career. She's worked with clients from all over the world, from a variety of fields, and she's had people in their 20s as well as people in their 60s. So basically anyone at any stage in their life. And this is all in service of her core mission. She believes that you are never too young or too old to leave one career for a more meaningful one. And we're going to be discussing just how you can do that. Bienvenue. Welcome.
It's my pleasure to be here.
So I always like starting with the beginning. So what was it like for you growing up, Isabella? You know, I know that you grew up in 5 countries and 2 continents. So you and I share that 5 countries growing up. But what was it like growing up?
Yeah, so actually I grew up in France, and I grew up in the south of France on a farm in the countryside. And I remember as a kid, I was quite of an emotional kid. I had, I would cry easily. I would be quite sensitive, had a lot of empathy for other people, being very intuitive and walking in nature in the fields and daydreaming. So this is really the way I was. And I remember in my family, on my dad's side, they were farmers from generation to generation. So they had a lot of practical type of intelligence. And on my mom's side, they were teachers, so very intellectual and rational. And in school, like in France, the being intelligent in France, in the French culture, is rational intelligence. This is the country of Descartes. I think, therefore I am. Yes. So in school, everything is a lot about being rational, analytical, a lot of knowledge. This is the way school in general is in France. So I didn't know any other way. So I thought, being intelligent, this is what that is. So I started trying to fit in and how to have good grades and be successful and feel like I belong, that I'm part of the group. So I follow the path at school. I worked hard to be good, to have good grades in school, in college, later graduate school. In my careers, I follow the same path to choose career based on being rational, analytical. Even if it was not really my nature.
Right.
But I didn't know better, because the thing is that now that I think back, there is no other people or community modeling another way of being in my life. So I didn't know there was another way of being than operating from other rational, intellectual side. So I keep forging my path, career-wise, doing that, and trying to fit in that sense.
Yeah.
Do you want me to keep
no, I'm saying yeah, and I'm not, because I share this with you, right? So I'm from Nigeria, and anyone watching the YouTube can see the Nigerian flag behind me. And I, for the longest time, in Nigerian culture, the joke is lawyer, doctor, engineer, or failure. And you would figure out how to do well in school, but the older I got, I realized I was actually more of an emotional guy. And I always say this, I always tell people are like, what do you mean by you're emotional? I was like, no, I'm just an emotional person. But when I was growing up, when you think about masculinity, you think about Nigerian culture, you think about African culture, and you just think about all those things, you don't show emotions because that's weak. And so hearing you talk about this, it wasn't until I accepted that I am an emotional guy and I'm okay with that, that I was able to find a career path for myself. Yeah. And so listening to you, I'm like, oh yeah, I can relate to that. So,
I can. So I totally understand that. And so and it's been kind of a similar path in some way for me. So what happened is that I chose careers really like more on the rational side. I went into doing information science and then user experience, in the tech world, even if I was using a bit of my human side, but more like on the rational and ethical side. Yeah. And I moved to Canada, and then I moved to the US because I was very driven and I wanted to discover the world. So I did that, and I was pretty successful in general. But what was happening after a while is I realized I was working so hard, because inside of myself, I was operating from that mindset and that box that was not fully me. and I keep working hard. And I remember the hardest, and there are times where I was doubting myself, wondering, what's wrong with me? Am I intelligent enough?
Yes.
And
Yes.
I remember a time where I had to call during the day my boyfriend at the time or my therapist. I was in tears because I was doubting myself, thinking I'm not good enough, I cannot do this. But I didn't know there was another way to be in the world. So I thought I just had to keep just pushing and pushing, and something in me was not enough.
Yeah.
And I had to keep pushing.
Yeah.
So that was really, super, really hard times.
No. It's a super, I was switching to French. I was gonna say no. I think that's a super place to be, because it then forces you to really question everything you've accepted as truth. You know, for me, I had to come to terms with the fact that maybe some things that I was taught weren't things that I believed anymore, and I had to be okay with accepting that and dealing with whatever the consequences could be. Because, you know, people were like, what are you doing? What's wrong with that? And being okay with that kind of information. And I know someone listening right now, and I'm sure a bunch of people, rather, not even just someone, are thinking to themselves, I'm doing well in this career, I'm making, you know, money, I have a family, but I don't feel like me. What are you going to tell that person? They want that reinvention.
Yes. So a couple of things. What I would say is, and I can share a little bit about how, let me share a little bit how for me the turning point happened.
Yes, please start with your turning point. Yeah.
Because it's exactly how I help people with that same turning point, and how I discover how to help, and then I'll let you know how I can help them. So I had to have a realization that I was operating from the wrong blueprint, what I call the wrong designer blueprint. I really believe every single person on the planet have this blueprint, this authentic self, and things we are naturally good at, and other things we are not good at. And I had to need a realization of that. And so what happened, at the time I went into a training around personality types. I was really fascinated about personality type, because I realized, oh, maybe there is nothing wrong with me. Maybe I operate from a different system. And I remember in that training, they were describing different models of being and different models of intelligence. And I was taking notes, and they were describing one that was called the theorist. And they are all very rational people. And they were describing it. I'm like, check, 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 check. Oh, it sounds like this is me. Of course, because this is the way I was conditioned to be. Yes. And then after that, they describe another one called the catalyst. There are people who are all about meaning and empathy and authenticity, and have a lot of emotional intelligence. And when I heard it, I was in tears. And I was like, this is me. I find my home. And then it was like, oh my God, I've spent my whole life trying to be somebody else than me, trying to do work that is not who I am. And it's not that I'm not smart enough. I was operating from the wrong framework of intelligence. And there are many ways to be intelligent. There are not just one. And so this is when I realized, okay, I want to help people. Like, it just breaks my heart to see so many people stuck in the same situation and believing there is something wrong with them because they are just trying to be somebody else. So now this is why I've done this work and helping people on the path to really find meaningful career. And the first step is going back to your home inside of yourself. So whatever country you live in, you're always finding what is your home inside of yourself and finding that authentic self, your natural gift and talent. Until you find that, you're never going to be happy in your career and your life.
Isabelle, you're dropping a lot of bars here today. I love that so much. The idea of, I'm even making note of it right now because I want to make sure I bring that in the intro for this. Finding a home inside of yourself. Someone who grew up like you in multiple parts of the world, it becomes different for people to find that home inside of themselves. And then there are also people who might know what they truly want to do, but they aren't okay with the perception of what that would be, right? And so I think that there are two things here at play where someone feeling comfortable with letting go of the things that would need to be let go of. You know, maybe you're not going to have the same friends or the same family, and that's okay. And then also just being okay with failing and people not understanding who you are and why you're doing what you're doing and dealing with that consequence.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Can be quite challenges, especially when you are going against your family conditioning or the way your family see the world.
Yes.
And when your family, you know, trying to help you, you know, they don't have bad intention, but they don't understand.
Yes.
So it can be quite difficult. And I think there are different things that can help with that. But one of the things is that surround yourself with people who love you for who you are and really understand you, and people who operate the same way as you do, to have that experience of being accepted for who you are. So that kind of helps you as well inside of yourself, accept yourself, because we are really social animals as human beings. So it can be very challenging if you are just by yourself, you know, fighting against all the conditioning. So this is one of there are other pieces, but this is one of the key pieces of that to help you with really accepting yourself. And also being, I would say, being gentle with yourself, because I find on my journey with my client, and this is what with my client, I work for 6 to 9 months because it's not going to happen instantly. You start discovering your true self, and initially you might even reject it. You're like, I have a lot of clients, like, you know, they don't. I have this client I'm working with right now. She's a maker. She's someone who is made. She's designed to make things.
Yes.
To make cards and beautiful things. And we started discovering that at the beginning. And she was like, yeah, I'm not sure if that's it, you know, because of all the layers of decades of conditioning about what success is supposed to be. So we have to go slowly. We move the layer of conditioning. And the more you get back to your true self and we look at your strengths and your talents, slowly the change can happen. But it's really it's kind of a process and a journey, I find.
So embracing the journey is one step. And then it sounds like with a lot of what you're doing, it's also getting people to be comfortable with the uncomfortable. Right now, someone finding a purpose is feeling like a strange thing to them. They're like, I get what Isabelle is saying, but I don't even know what my purpose is. I don't even know how to even figure that out. I just know that what I'm doing isn't what I should be doing. Is there anything that they can do to create that outside of, you know, finding people that accept them for who they are?
To help them start clarifying your purpose, you mean?
Yeah, to identify what the purpose is.
Yes. Let's see, because there are different tools I use in my process. But if I were to give, you know, if I were to start giving one as a starting point, and we can, if you want, we can actually experience it right now.
Yes.
If you want to.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
Okay, awesome. So you want to play with me on that? And, you know, as you are listening, just go and do that. So, and you can either close your eyes or keep your eyes open, whatever feels good to you, whatever is comfortable for your body.
Okay.
Let's take a deep breath. Fully arrive here. Grounding in your body, feeling your body on the chair, wherever you are seated on. And just noticing how that feels to be you in this moment right now. Just being in present with your breathing. Knowing there is nothing else you need to do in this moment. Just being present right here, right now. Feeling your body. You can put your hands part of your body so that you can really feel your body right now. And I want you to think about a moment in your work or in your life. It can be at work, it can be in your personal life. It can be something that happened yesterday, something that happened 20 years ago. It doesn't matter. As long as it's a moment where you were doing something you enjoyed, something that was bringing you joy. It can be very simple, doesn't have to be something very complex, but something you just enjoy doing. You were in the flow in that moment. Life was feeling very rewarding. You were really enjoying yourself, whatever it is. And you may have several moments coming to mind. You may not know, just pick one for now. Just pick whatever it is. Just trust the first one that comes to mind. Pick a moment you were enjoying yourself. And we'll leave this moment as if it's happening right here and right now. And notice where you are. What is the environment around you? What do you see? What do you hear? Touch, smell, or even taste. Take it fully in. And notice what is it that you are doing that you are enjoying. Be curious. And try to release any judgment. Sometimes we have judgment about this is not good enough, this is weird. Try to release the judgment for now. And just be curious, noticing what are you enjoying about this moment? And how are you feeling doing this thing? Knowing you can come back to that place inside of you anytime you want, and you probably have many different moments that you could examine like that. And whenever you feel ready, you can come back here, open your eyes if they were closed.
That was powerful.
Yeah, what came up for you? I'm curious.
I went back to a moment where I was speaking at the United Nations, and then all of a sudden it was just me on the stage, and I could see the people in the audience leaning in, and listening. And then I even heard some of the questions like, hey, can you explain more? Or I'm very curious about this. Can you expand on that? And the emotion that I was experiencing was like joy, because they were taking in information and it felt like they were engaging and they wanted more of that. And then the intention of that was, I don't know, I started seeing all these lights, like a yellow light going into each of the people, activating. I'm a superhero person. So they were activating their superpowers, and they're like, oh, now I have a tool for me to make an impact in my world. And so they left empowered. So that's where I went.
Beautiful. So I think there is something for you about empowering people through, and in this case, it was through speaking and seeing them like engaging. That is very meaningful to you.
Yeah. When one of my favorite things to see is when someone realizes the gift that they have and how they can make the world a better place. Even though that's like, some people think that's corny, but it's like, it's, to me, it's just one of those reminders that I believe, because I really believe that we're a reflection of the world we've created. And so we can change that. And so, yeah,
beautiful. So I think it's linked, it's probably linked to your purpose. I'm guessing
100%.
Your why about helping. Yeah, beautiful. So this is if you are listening, this is a first step to start clarifying, your purpose. And I want to say to, if you are listening, don't worry if you are unclear or if you are confused about the moment that came. It's your intuition speaking. So keep listening to that. It's showing you the path. Keep being curious about what came and what specifically you love about that, why it's important to you.
100%. And anyone listening and watching, wherever you're doing, We're going to make sure we have show notes for you to connect with Isabelle, but I wanted you to get a taste of what it's like to work with her, because as she shared earlier in the interview, she basically went through a career reinvention herself, and on her path to doing that, she became a coach in a sense that works with people from different backgrounds. A lot of people feel like they don't have a meaningful purpose, and because they don't have a meaningful purpose, they can't find meaningful work. And from what I'm gaining and learning from you here is that you don't believe that that's true. You believe everyone does have a meaningful purpose. It's just a matter of figuring out how to reignite that passion for them.
Yes, I really believe it. And it's based on my, 10 years of experience working with clients one-on-one, hundreds of clients. I have a lot of clients who come to me. I don't know if I have a purpose. I don't know if I have talents. And every single time when we do this exercise, and I have many different visualization and a 5-step process I have them go through, we find it. It's already within, but you are not seeing it. It's like the syndrome of the fish in the water.
Yes.
The fish cannot see. Being in the water is what I'm the best at. So we need to help. You need someone on the outside that's going to help you, guide you to see what is your water you're already swimming in. It's not something you have to create outside of yourself. It's already there, but helping you guide to find it.
And this goes to what you say often. You say experience true balance and freedom.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, now people have different opinions of balance, obviously, but in your opinion, when you're saying true balance and connecting that to freedom, what does that look like for you?
Yeah, and for me, and sometimes I'm hesitant of using the word balance because, work-life balance is but I think it's a lot of the people who come to me are wanting, often they are burnout in their careers. They have been pushing, they've been successful, sometimes following the career ladder and realizing, oh, this is not working for me, I'm in the right race. And I want freedom to do the things I enjoy. I want time with my family. If I have children, I want time with them. Maybe I want time to travel. So having a fulfilling work context that's going to allow that kind of freedom to have your life on your own terms. And so this is what is it going to mean for each person is going to be something different. But I want you, I just want every person to have your life and your work on your own terms, whatever is going to look like for you.
100%. And then the other thing that you keep reminding us of, and I'm glad that you're doing this, is just understand that even if the best intentions, right? The people in your life had the best intentions about what they feel is successful for you. At some point in your life, you have to have that conversation with yourself. What is successful for you? Not what your parents think, not what your friends think, but what do you think? And because you can discover your passion as you start doing something. Maybe you're on the train or something, and then someone says, and you're like, whoa, that's a different emotion. I really like that. And then you start doing that more and more. I think we create a culture of shame around that because you spent, 10 years doing something. Now you're discovering it. It's okay. All right. It's okay to feel that.
Yeah, it's okay. Especially we are in cultures, at least I know in the Western world, I don't know all the other cultures, but I have clients from everywhere in the world. I have clients from India, from China. So I think every culture has their own kind of conditioning around different, they might take different shape and forms around careers and success. So it's really normal. We are so conditioned. So it's really normal to feel sometimes you are like in your 40s or 50s or younger 30s, and you realize, oh, maybe I didn't do the right path for me. And I want you to be gentle with yourself because you are trying a new paradigm of going for work. And it's really normal to be in that situation. So just be kind to yourself on that. And I wanted to say, it's a great question you mentioned about success. A great exercise you can do is journal about what success means to me. Like if I had success on my own terms, and if you want, you can also use a different words if success doesn't feel good to you. But if I didn't have to worry about what I learned from my parents, from society, from school, what living a successful life and career would look like, and start just journaling free form on that, on your terms, and see what comes up.
That's a powerful one too, though. Like, what does success mean to me? What's so interesting? I do this thing with my corporate clients. I'll have them ask them their people that they work with, what success means to them, what belonging means to them, and what safety means to them, or security or safety.
Beautiful.
And that success question, but it always brings up interesting things, because the manager has a different idea, and then the team and the person that they manage say, well, if I really was able to do this around these times of the day, it really allows me to grow, because I have this kid, I have this, we have that, and they're like, oh, I never thought of it that way. So it's an interesting way to actually see yourself outside of any conditioning that exists.
Yeah, exactly. Because
Yeah.
there is so much, everything is conditioned, what success is supposed to look like, what intelligence is, what anything. So there is just not one, there is many definition of success. So find yours.
Find yours. Okay. Well, speaking of finding, how can people find you?
I'm sorry. Oh, how can people find me? So yes. So there are few different ways. So they can find me on my website. It's brilliantseeds.com. So you can be in the show notes. And also, if some people you are listening, you're like, oh, I'm really ready. I want to get help clarifying, what is really my meaningful career and my purpose. You can go to yourmeaningfulwork.com. So yourmeaningfulwork.com. And you can apply for a session with me where I'll help you start clarifying what it is for you, what are the main blocks in the way, and just exploring if what is the next step for you, and if working with me could be a good idea or not. It's a free session, so there is no, you can just do that, and I'll be happy to see if I can support you in that way.
We'll make sure we'll put that in the show notes, because I really want people to take advantage of that. There's a final question I always ask though, Isabelle. On my podcast, there's this. So my mission statement is use your difference to make a difference. So, Isabelle, how do you use your difference to make a difference?
Helping you connect back to your home inside of yourself, so that you can shine in the world and make a difference with your own flavor of you.
I love that so much, by the way. This home within yourself still keeps coming up. And then you said your own flavor of you. It's like, it's just a beautiful way to put that there, because who we are is already great. We just have to be the best version of that self.
Exactly. I really believe that.
Oh, no. Any last parting words you want to share before we close?
That it's possible. If you are listening and you are like, yeah, maybe for other people, but I don't know if it's possible for me. I want you to know, based on my experience working with hundreds of people, it is possible for you. The doubting is normal, is a normal part of the journey, but it's possible and you can have it. I see that in you.
Doubting is normal. It's a normal part of the journey, and it's possible. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. This has been really fun. And thanks for taking me through the exercise.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
All right. Kings, queens, and royalty. Till next time, use your difference to make a difference.